Long ago and far away, in enchanted lands across the seas, lived kings and queens, princes and princesses, good fairies and wicked witches, ferocious giants and gentle dwarfs. Their adventures and stories have been told for hundreds of years. Open the pages and listen to the words, and you too can join the magical world of Once Upon a Time.
The Goatherd and the King's Daughter. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, lived a king. His only daughter was very special to him, and he wanted to find her the best husband he possibly could. So he invited all the young nobles in the country to court.
My fellow noblemen,
the king told the assembled crowd of princes, counts and barons,
I know you have all travelled far and wide to see us, and I thank you all. But for one of you, the trip will not be in vain. Here is my lovely daughter. Whoever can complete the tasks I set will have her hand in marriage.
As he was speaking, he noticed a goatherd standing in amongst the crowd of nobles.
What's a commoner like you doing here?
I can compete with a noble any day, the goatherd boasted. And win! The king didn't think he would get anywhere in the contest, so he felt there was no harm in letting him take part. Suddenly, without any warning, apples were flying about all over the place. What's going on? Said a noble, as one of the apples whizzed past his ear. Catch! Said the princess. So the nobles leapt about, desperately trying to catch the fruit.
They're everywhere.
Heads bumped, legs became tangled. In no time, the floor was littered with nobles nursing their bruised bodies. You've already failed the first task, Butterfingers, laughed the princess, as the fruit slipped through their fingers. You were meant to catch the apples. Over to me, shouted the goatherd. 1, 2, 3, 4. Easy as pie, milady, he said, as the apples fell into his hand. The goatherd stood clutching the apples, laughing at the heap of nobles on the floor. The clumsy nobles were used to servants bringing them fruit on platters, so they hadn't a hope of catching the apples. Now the lowly goatherd was the only suitor left. So the princess asked her father if the nobles might be given a second chance. The king agreed. For this next task, you'll have to use your brains, said the princess. Now, tell me how you'll get across a stream on foot without getting your feet wet. Think carefully. There's a lot at stake.
Let's think of something. What should we do? We could jump. No, that's no good.
One prince spoke for all the other nobles. It's simple. A couple of servants would carry us over and get their feet wet. Typical. You foolish fellows just don't know how to stand on your own 2 feet, interrupted the goatherd. The proper thing to do would be to throw a row of large stones into the stream and skip across them.
I must confess the goatherd's answer is the best. After all, even I don't take my servants everywhere, said the king. But he really didn't want the goatherd to win, so he gave him another test. Your next task is to take 100 rabbits to a meadow to graze and not lose any of them. The goatherd went off into the countryside to think about this task, and while he was sitting under a tree, he met an old peasant woman. The goatherd needed someone to talk to, so he told the old woman all about his difficult task. Don't worry, I think I can help you, she said, and then she handed him a little flute. But remember, this is a special little flute that you can only use when you need to sort out a problem. Full of confidence, the goatherd skipped back to the court. Fetch me 100 rabbits, he told the chief courtier.
So he unlocked the royal hutches and presented the goatherd with exactly 100 rabbits. The goatherd carried the wriggling, fluffy bundles to a meadow in an enormous sack, and then he let them run free on the grass. Some of the rabbits, restless after being cooped up in the sack, were soon out of sight. To lure the little creatures back, the goatherd took out his flute and started to play a tune. Straight away, all the rabbits came hopping back to their master. In fact, every time he played the flute, they stayed close by. But whenever he stopped, they wandered away from him. Little did the goatherd know that a courtier had been spying on him in the wood. When he saw that the goatherd still had 100 rabbits, he raced off to tell the king. The king and his daughter huddled together at court, plotting and planning how they might stop him from completing the task.
We could dress up in disguise, Father, as country people, and ask him for one of the little rabbits. Let's do it then, together.
No, Father, you must stay here. I'll go first. So, off went the princess, dressed as a countrywoman. I've lost my pet rabbit, she told the goatherd when she met him in the wood. The goatherd recognized the princess, but he played along with her. I will only give you one of my rabbits if you polish my muddy shoes for me, he said. She agreed to this humble task, and when she'd polished his shoes so well that his face shone in them, the goatherd handed her the rabbit. Then she went on her way. As the princess was making her way through the woods, she heard a flute. Its sweet notes made the rabbit jump out of her arms and run to join the other rabbits. The princess raced back to the palace, and when she got there, she told her father. He still has 100 rabbits! So the king dressed up as an old countryman and went off to find the goatherd. He took a donkey with him to make the disguise look even more convincing. When the king reached the woods, he saw the goatherd out walking.
My man,
shouted the king.
Can I buy one of your rabbits?
Straight away the goatherd recognized the king by his voice. Only a king would have a voice like that. I will give you a rabbit if you kiss your donkey, said the goatherd. So the king kissed the donkey's head. Satisfied that he tricked the goatherd, he wandered away with a rabbit. But as the king was walking along, the goatherd started playing his flute. Once again, the sweet notes lured the rabbit back to its master.
It's time to turn over to side 2.